If you recall, way back in week 2, we talked about this guy, Ovid. He was a Roman author, and he wrote a book called The Metamorphoses. Now, Metamorphoses is where we're actually getting most of this information. In the beginning of it all, there was nothing, just chaos, the raw materials of which the world is made up. And then, an unnamed god appeared, seemingly out of nowhere, and took all of these elements and formed them into what we now know as the earth, the moon, the stars, and everything else. After giving the earth its basic shape, that unnamed god formed the rocks, the hills, the mountains, the oceans, the trees, and all of the animals. Finally, after all that, the first named god appears. His name is Prometheus, and he creates men to be in the image of the gods. From the very beginning, Saturn ruled over the golden age of man. Everything was wonderful. There was no crime, no pain. They lived in caves, simple life. After Jupiter forced Saturn out and took his place, man entered the Silver Age. Things were more difficult. They had to settle down, farm, actually work for their food. Eventually, man sunk to the Bronze Age. They made weapons, waged wars, and did terrible things to each other. Finally, man descended to the Iron Age. They began to murder each other, commit any kind of crime you can imagine, and the only way to keep power was to rule it with an iron fist. It was during their low point, at the Iron Age, that Jupiter finally looked down upon humanity and decided he couldn't bear to witness it anymore. He needed something. He needed a flood. The floods came, killing every single human on Earth, with the exception of 2, a man named Deucalion and his wife Pyrrha. In order to repopulate the Earth, the gods told them to throw stones over their shoulders. Deucalion's stones turned into men, while Pyrrha's turned into women. From Deucalion and Pyrrha descended all the inhabitants of the Earth. The gods hoped that saving these 2 would mean that they would raise up righteous people who would worship the gods forever.